Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this past weekend was the Crystal Cup Water in Norwich at Athena Games, which is a lovely venue, by the way. If you ever go down that way, definitely go check it out. Really spacious, lots of stuff going on, their stock is amazing, really nice store. And I didn't do too bad. With this one. I'm getting better. So yeah, no, I managed to make top 8 for Crystal Cup and I wanted to kind of tell you guys all about it. And if I actually got to see you at Crystal Cup, it was really lovely getting to see everybody again and meet some new faces and spend time with people I've known a long time within the game. But it was a great weekend, so thank you very much for being a part of it if you were there. And honestly, like, the deck I chose to play was not mine at all. But it was actually a deck that was played by my friend Christian Schwebke in Ghent, and it was an Ice Earth deck. Now, I've never actually played Kuja in a tournament before. Never. So I thought I really wanted an excuse to use him. And I know that's a really lame reason, but I was like, I've never played Ice because I sat there and I'm most used to playing decks that are kind of self-control, where like I like to draw cards a lot. So I wasn't sure how capable I would be with a deck that did the opposite and was more about controlling my opponent and sort of like discarding cards from their hand, double and freeze, that kind of mechanic. But I saw this deck and I absolutely fell in love with it. So I wanted to go over the profile for that deck and my tournament experience with you guys. So if you want to kind of watch what I did or sort of like talk about how my draft experience went on day 2, then stay tuned and keep on watching. As always, don't forget to check out those links in the description box below for all of my social media, including Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, Discord, all that good stuff. And you can come and join me and just chat about TCG or Final Fantasy or, well, pretty much anything, really. So as you can see here, the deck that I played here was an Ice Earth deck, and it's mostly ice just splashing a little bit of earth, but it has some tech choices in here that I think are absolutely phenomenal. And as I said, I cannot take credit for any of this deck because it is card for card a copy from Christian's deck that he took to the top of Swiss in the Grand Open of Ghent. So all props to him, this deck is fantastic and I loved it. But I wanted to go over some of the plays that it had before I talk about the actual event itself. So some of the stuff that go on in here is all revolved around FF9 in a really weird and roundabout way. Garland, oh my god, is yet again another card that I completely did not give enough credit to back when Opus 8 was released. Sometimes I look back at my videos when I look at my reviews and things and I'm like, what are you on? How can you think this card is bad, or how can you think this card is good? But in all honesty, one of the beauties of Final Fantasy TCG is that it's actually really difficult to tell. There are so many different decks going around in these events that you've no idea what to expect. But Garland really overperformed for me. Getting him down turn 2 can cripple your opponent if you go first. If you go first, you want Garland on your turn 2. If you go second, you want Edward in your turn 2, preferably alongside a Harley. The reason for that is because you're capitalising on the thing your opponent has least of. If your opponent goes first, then they're going to have less cards than you, so you should capitalise on that and you should play an Edward and make it so that you're setting up while you're making life harder for them. And if you're going first, then you can establish board presence by playing Garland, because unless your opponent plays 2 backups turn 1, then, if they play 2 backups turn 1, then you play Edward. If they play 1 backup turn 1, then you can play Garland. Obviously it depends on what you have in your hand at the time, but if you have the options, then there's the option given to you. Because Garland can slow your opponent down 2 to 3 turns while you're setting up, and that's exactly what Ice needs, because aggro can be such a problem for a deck like this that if you don't slow them down, then they can just mow you down, and that's a massive issue. Other cards I really liked in this deck, Zidane, actually. I have a massive newfound respect for that Zidane, because the light one, because it's a massive 1-2 punch alongside Garland, where you just go, oh okay, I'll just play Garland, and then I'll drop a card, play Zidane, and then either you discard a card and get the best of both of the worlds I was going for to begin with, or I draw a card and I get a free forward so that I'm going aggro in an Ice deck, which is kind of, well, we haven't seen much of that since Turbo Discard back in Opus 5. So I actually think this is quite cool. And then some of the stuff that you can do with Kuja, I mean, I wanted an excuse to run Kuja, I did, I wanted it for the longest time, but honestly, this card won me half of my games in Swiss. It's just so good because all of Ice's good backups have interplay effects, so make the use of 2 of them. Cocytus is fantastic. Being able to use that twice is disgusting. It's like, if anything, I wish I'd kind of found room for minor. But honestly, I tried changing this deck. I did. I wanted to be hipster about it. I wanted to sit there and go, oh, okay, maybe this doesn't work. Maybe I shouldn't play this. But honestly, I think the deck is great as it is. Every single card in this deck saw use for me, so I wouldn't change it. But if minor had been in there and I'd been able to pick up backups that I could have used to then like break them to get Kuja and then replay them by playing a minor and grabbing it back, or Luminous Puma even, something like that. I just think that there's so much awesome use that you can get out of Recursion in this deck that it's really useful. Obviously we have Isis mainstays in here, like Sid Reigns, who is absolutely backbreaking when played at the right time, and like a couple of my opponents played Water Zidane, and you play Water Zidane, I played a Cocytus and then a Sid Reigns. That's backbreaking, just straight away. Like, I remember opening a hand and going, I'm not sure if I think this hand is particularly good, because it had a Cocytus, which isn't an ideal turn 1 play, and a Sid Reigns. I'm like, well, at least I can ward off aggro. Didn't think I'd be able to ward it off that well. It's really powerful. And, it's one of the few cards from Opus 1, alongside Shantotto, that are still played to this day. And Shantotto is still a ridiculous card, and being able to play that a second time because of Kuja, and then pay for it with the Kuja, is absolutely delicious. We can't talk about this deck, though, without talking about the flans, the puddings. They are incredible in this deck. Like, they are your 6th backup. Like, your first flan for the next 4 to 5 turns can be treated as a 6th backup, because you pay 1 and dull that, search for 2 CP. So you discard that 2 CP. So you've literally got, if you have 5 backups out, that flan is a 6th. And that is extremely powerful in Ice, because Ice runs out of steam quite quickly if you don't keep your hand up. Flan completely eliminates that problem. And then when you're done with it, you just drop your opponent's hand. It's insane. And I have to say, I actually used Earth Flan more times than I thought I would. People thinking that you can attack into something, you just go, okay, cool, block, use Ice Flan to search for Earth Flan, and then just discard it. My guy has 1,000 power, it's now bigger than yours. A lot of people don't see that coming, and it's really, really cool play. One thing I like about this deck is that there's so many strange things you discover. I play tested this deck a lot before the event, and even during the event and even after it, I'm still discovering new plays with it. It's just, there's so much going on, and there's so many synergies with Rinoa, Sid Olstein, Sephiroth, Kuja, Garland, Sid Reigns, all of the backups. Emperor is amazing in this deck because you're discarding 2 cards isn't nearly as bad, because you can discard, you can go search for a flan at the end of your opponent's turn, then discard that flan and something else for Emperor, dulling a backup like Edward. You then break the Edward and whatever, either the Emperor or you break the Edward and the Emperor to grab Kuja, dull 1 because you have a Harley out, replay Big Edward, discard, play the Kuja. You just get so much value constantly, and it's just such a great fun deck to play. It's not the nicest deck to play against, I won't lie. I didn't actually come up against much Ice in the event, but I loved playing this deck and I would happily play it again. As a matter of fact, I think now, because I've performed better than I thought I would in most of the events that I've played in. I made day 2 for, I think it was 10th or 12th in Dusseldorf. I've won a regional. I've bombed hard in a regional using Monofire. I'm not a Monofire player, I'm just not. And then this time I top 8'd. So I like to think that I've definitely improved in the last few tournaments that I've done. But stream games are not my friend, as I'll get to in a moment. As I'm sure if you watch the stream coverage, you'll already know this. But honestly, this deck, I loved it, and I think the only colours I haven't played in a major tournament now are, I think, Lightning. I think Lightning is actually the only colour I haven't played in a major tournament now, so maybe I'll have to start looking at some sort of Lightning build in the future. So in terms of the tournament itself, I went 6-2 on day 1, which allowed me to get into top cut, and my first loss was to Joesephyr Freeman Birch, or he's a very, very well-known player in the community, probably one of the strongest players in the world. We had the weirdest game as well. Like, he turn 1 he was playing Wind Earth, or Urianger Wind Earth, and then he turn 1 Zidane, and I had 2 Sephiroth in my opening hand. So he just went bin your 1 backup, and then I was like, right, well I guess I'm playing the Sephiroth in my hand then. And then he played a Miyun and picked it back up, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something here. So I played Sephiroth, turn 1, which isn't the nicest thing, but it's not the worst, because Sephiroth is a 3 CP 8k, basically, because your opponent discards 4 CP, and so do you, by playing it, so you're getting a 3 CP 8k guy that has the potential to increase in value. The longer he stays out, he's one of those cards, the longer he stays out, the more value he accumulates. And then, so for the next few turns, we just traded 1 damage each. Like, I was getting hit by Zidane, he was getting hit by Sephiroth, I was getting hit by Zidane. We took each other to 5 before anything even happened. It was just the weirdest game. And then I played, I played multiple games where the deck did as it was supposed to do, which was great. And I really enjoyed playing the deck in general. So I got into the top 32, I placed 12th in total, so that was an improvement on my Dusseldorf score. So that was what made me really happy, because all I actually wanted from the event was to improve on my score from last time. However, I came so close to top 8 in the last time that the only way I was going to improve on it was to get into the top 8. So it wasn't an easy feat. But day 2 I got in and I had a draft, we all had to draft. Now, drafting is something I'm very comfortable with. I've played a lot of Magic in my day. I've drafted Final Fantasy at a competitive level a couple of times, obviously, like through Dusseldorf and things like that. And, you know, I actually think Opus 8 is a much, much easier draft than Opus 7. General tips for you, fire is insane in Opus 8. If you see some, like, my first opponent had mono fire, and it was the most terrifying thing ever. Because staring down Archangels when you've only got 6 damage is not nice. And fire has a lot of removal. It has Brunhilde in this set, which is extremely good. But my first pack was terrible, and I wasn't sure what I was going to go with. So I started just picking good cards. Like I picked a Shiva, because she's insane. The 4-cost Shiva from Opus 8, she's absolutely ridiculous in draft. So I took one of those thinking, well, maybe I'll get Ice. I didn't, and it ended like my first pack was a little bit of a mess. And then the second pack, and then I know, by the end of the first pack, I noticed I was getting past a lot of Earth. Earth is very odd in Opus 8 draft because you have to gamble quite heavily on whether you'll get good out of it or not. In the second pack I opened, and the pack wasn't great, but it had a Gladiolus in it. And I sat there and I thought to myself, well, if I take this Gladiolus and nobody else sees it, then no one is going to pick Noctis or Ignis. And I thought, it's a gamble, but I took it, because the rest of the pack wasn't great anyway. I took it. I ended up getting past 3 Noctises, and I'm like, okay, now I just need Ignis, and I'm good. And then I got a Prompto as well, so I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get just FF15 cards, and this is great. And then pack 3 I opened a Legendary Aerith, and I'm like, right, well I guess I'm playing Earth Wind then, because you don't not take a legend like that. Like, not when you've got stuff like Brunhilde, the summon, the non-reprint summon from every colour in this set except Titan is a damage dealer. So I'm like, okay, well this writes off half the removal in the game, so I'm going to take this. And, you know, I didn't get as much wind as I would have liked in that pack, but then pack 4 I opened Legendary Fina. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely playing Earthwind at this point. And then I just started taking more removal, Machinist, Archangel TT, which is the 2 CP one, which actually served me very, very well. And I ended up with a very, very removal-heavy Earthwind deck. I'd have liked to have seen more Selkie, because you end up with like a alternate mill strategy, and that actually got used against me and nearly killed me in game 3. But I had my first stream match with my draft deck. And I'm like I said, I'm quite confident at drafting. I like drafting, so I was quite happy. I was quite happy playing, doing my thing, and you know, if you go to watch the videos on demand, I like to think I played quite well. A lot of people, I did notice a lot of people who were watching me play, you know, in person. I had a Gladiolus in my hand turn 1, and I'm like, so everyone's going, why are you not playing the Gladio? You have a Noctis and another guy down. And I'm like, because Maydeen and Ark are in the game. Like, they're actually like potential threats. And I thought, well, if I overextend, that's like walking into a Shantotto. Except in this game, it's worse. And if I lose my biggest guy, that's really bad. As much as I had Recursion like Luminous Puma and Aparuru in my deck, I wasn't prepared to lose that, and I had the advantage already. I didn't need to worry about it. And I was getting attacked with a Numaro, and then an Archangel TT just came and killed it, which was really useful. So I like to think I played that as well as I could. And so I ended up going 3-1 in draft, so I got a total of 9-3, and I ended up placing 6th in the entire event, which is really, really good, actually. Like I mean, I would say that as if like that's a very, very obvious statement to make, but I was quite shocked because I was like, I've always tried to. I do think that I'm quite proficient at the game. I don't think I'm as good as some players out there. I don't think I'm out there with the top players by a long shot, to be honest. But you know, everyone was very, very supportive, and everyone was really lovely about it. And it's nice when you feel like people want you to do well, and that's just a really great feeling in general. But then I got my top 8, and I had to go on stream again. And Little Tracy, I don't like being on stream very much in terms of play, because I think that because people watch a lot of what I do as it is, and people don't see me play all that often, I feel like if I make a mistake, it gets blown way out of proportion, and it becomes a very scary thought, and I just basically don't want to embarrass myself. And unfortunately, that's exactly what I did during the top 8 matches. I mean, I was playing against a friend as well, which was never nice. Like, I mean, me and Simon, who ended up coming second in the event, so I'm very, very pleased for him. We played against each other, and we were both kind of just like, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, obviously, but my brain was mush. At this point, I was tired, I was frightened that I was going to make a mistake, which is the worst thing you can be, because you're going to make mistakes because of it. And I played like trash. I don't know what happened. Like, my mind just went. I played a Sid Olstein against a Yuri who just drew a card and then stopped me. I was just like, what am I doing? And then I got really embarrassed, obviously, because there's loads of people watching. I don't even want to know what that Twitch chat looks like, quite honestly. But I lost, and that's fair enough. To be honest, he's a great player anyway, and I'm really glad that he beat... Like, if I was going to lose to anybody, I'm glad that he did well and he got his Euros place. Whether I get to go to another Crystal Cup or not, and try for another Euros placement, I don't know. That may have been my only shot, but worst comes to worst, I can always try and work at it again. But, you know, it was a great day. It was a really, really great weekend, and I absolutely loved it. I love spending time with people, because everybody knows my opinions when it comes to TCGs or anything like that, in that they're a means to an end. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. I like when people want to talk to me, and it's an icebreaker, as is my YouTube channel in general. You know, it's my favourite thing to do is just create discussion and, you know, have people talk to each other. And you can't not do that if you're in a game with somebody, and not one of my opponents was untalkative, uncooperative. I had a great time with every single one of my opponents, and there were like over 12 of them, so you know, that's the thing. And it speaks volumes about our community in general, because everyone was just super friendly, and I would happily go to an event again. I brought people with me this time, which was really nice, and they did pretty well as well. So hopefully I'll have my little community grow over the course of the next couple of months, and we'll be able to go to some events, whether they be Crystal Cups or not in Europe, I don't know. But hopefully I can only go up from here. So I top 8'd this time, top 4 would be nice next time. So that's going to be it for my tournament report for Crystal Cup Water. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you get a chance to try out this deck, honestly, just do it. It will honestly make you better at the game, because there's so many interactions that you have to remember that you wouldn't have thought of before, and you will learn playing this deck a great amount. So big shout out to Christian for making this deck public, because I completely stole it. And I absolutely loved it. It's an amazing deck. If anyone has any suggestions for improving the deck, obviously we all play differently. I actually loved it the way it was. So if you can think of anything, then let me know in the comments below how you would change it. But that's going to be it from this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, as I said. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Final Fantasy TCG, more Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and all sorts of new things coming up. Hopefully in the next couple of months. We will have to wait and see. And that'll be it from me. So take care, everybody.